Hello, my dear church boys, and welcome back to St. Robert's Day Game podcast. And in this podcast episode, me and Mr. T are going to discuss the differences between day gaming in Eastern Europe versus the western part of the world. So places like Ukraine, Serbia, other Balkan countries, maybe Balkans, maybe also places like Czech Republic's Prague and some cities in Poland, versus places like London or Germany or USA, etc. Oh, and also Switzerland, because I know I got a lot of guys from Switzerland watching me. And yes, this podcast episode is coming to you, or this video podcast episode is coming to you from a smaller city in Ukraine where me, Mr. T, and 6 students came to explore how it is to date in a place where people don't speak that much English. And to be honest, it's been pretty amazing. One of the students got his first leg here yesterday, so he beat me, he beat Mr. T, he beat everyone else. And to be honest, it's very exciting for me to be here for 2 reasons. One is to coach in a place where people speak very little English. For example, for me to coach in a place like Prague or many places like Poland or Baltics is fairly boring, because if a student learns the basics, then it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. It's just a little bit easy to get laid there. Whereas here, I actually have to teach him good game, and it's challenging. They have to overcome the language barrier. They have to find the chicks that actually speak some English, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot, and that to me is incredible, because if they learn it to get laid here, then wherever they go, it's gonna be smooth sailing. And for me, well, I'm super excited today game here because for one reason, I speak fluent Russian, so if I can't get anywhere with my English, I can just switch to Russian. But now, without any further intro, let's get down to the topic, and me and Mr. T are going to sit down in a cafe and continue this conversation. So here we are sitting in a small cafe. Finally, we can chat a bit more with Mr. T. But before we get into the topic of Eastern girls from the eastern part of the world versus the western part of the world, let's first talk about what's going on with coaching, because I do get a lot of questions about that, and I'm in a tough updates on that. So I'm almost fully booked until end of August. So the rest of the summer is booked. One student canceled mid-August, so I have one 5-day spot available in Ukraine in mid-August. If you want that, send me an email to robert@strobert.blog. And after that, in September and October, I will most likely be in Europe until end of October. I'm thinking I'll be spending October in Spain, somewhere warm, and coaching there. I would prefer to coach Spanish-speaking people, but I'm open to options, obviously. And in September, I'll be somewhere in Europe. So if you want some coaching this season, then definitely let me know as soon as possible, because I haven't announced those dates before yet about September and October. So if you're interested, robert@strobert.blog, or if you are on Telegram in our group chat, just send me a message and we'll talk about possible cities, pricing, dates, and everything else. And now, Mr. T.
Hey.
You're without a mask.
Yeah, we're both vaccinated.
You decided to reveal your face. Is this the big reveal?
No.
This is gonna be on YouTube.
Of course.
Okay, so this is the big reveal. Okay, we're gonna shoot a separate big reveal video with Mr. T revealing his face. Okay, you made your choices. No regrets. Okay, so Mr. T lives in New York City. You've heard his voice a lot. Now you finally see him. If this makes the video and he doesn't change his mind. Now you finally see him, and he has had more lays with girls in the western parts of the world. So USA, he's got a lay in UK, in Germany, in Denmark. What was on the list? Can you go through over your kind of flags list?
Jesus.
Or like countries you traveled to?
Just countries, yeah, because I can't remember everything.
You traveled to and gotten laid there.
Yeah, memories. Let's see. Serbia, Denmark, Germany, the UK.
The USA.
Does that really count?
Yeah, of course, it's a country. You know,
USA,
it's on the map.
Mexico.
It's not as big as China, but...
Yeah, USA, Mexico. That's as much as I can remember for now, which is really funny because I've traveled a lot. I just don't track the flights.
But basically, you have your Western lays in places like US and UK, in Germany and Denmark, and And a lot of my lays when I first started day gaming were in Riga, Latvia, where I was originally from, where I used to live up until 2 years ago when I started this traveling lifestyle. And after then, I always have preferred dating girls that are of kind of from former Soviet Union countries, maybe Russians or anything like that, Serbians. That's why I go to places like Serbia. That's why I am in Ukraine right now. Um, of course, I have flags with girls from USA and with I think Mexican girls and some South American girls. But I really prefer Eastern. But I have experiences with both worlds. I do have what was that? United
Arab Emirates,
Arab Emirates. I do
Dubai.
have. Yeah, I got a flag with a chick from there, and she had a boyfriend in Dubai. I met her in London while coaching Tim. Cheers, Tim. Had a great time with you. So no, like Tim was a
Tim,
really
yeah, no, I
cool
remember
dude.
Tim.
Tim was a really
I
cool
remember
dude.
Tim. Pretty
So,
chill guy.
so let's talk about the differences between Eastern and Western, because when we talk about game, so the main difference is, let's put it like that. When you look at the typical model of day game, the London day game model, what I coach and what many other people coach, and what Tom Torero was the guy, one of the biggest guys who made it popular. Um, London day game model teaches you good game. It teaches you what you need to do to adapt to very different scenarios, very different situations. And the thing when you game in Western Europe is sometimes you don't need all those small details, all those small techniques, because you just won't face as many frame tests. You won't necessarily have to do that much seduction. The seduction necessary is a bit smaller, mainly because I think the biggest difference between Western and Eastern world when it comes to getting laid is when a girl in the Western part of the world comes out, she knows whether she's banging you or not. She has that thought that maybe yeah,
It might happen.
yeah. Whereas with girls from the eastern parts of the world, she legit came out with you to have a drink, to have a coffee, or whatever, to go for an ice cream, because Mr. T does ice cream dates for whatever reason.
The girls don't drink. That's why.
And the girls don't drink, yeah. Uh, so these girls, they actually think they're coming out for a coffee, for a drink, for ice cream, and then you actually have to seduce and go from that to turning it into something completely. They know they're coming on a date, but they're not expecting to get laid on that first date in very many cases. So let's what's so you've been to these parts of the world more than well, I would say you've gamed in Serbia. You've gamed in other Eastern. You gamed in Riga, but you didn't get a later in Riga, right?
Riga, yeah, Riga, Poland. Um, yeah, a bunch of stuff.
So you, as a guy
Start.
from the Western world, what's your view
Western
on
world.
the Western part of the world? Well, you're from the southern part of the world originally, but you've been living for more than 10 years in the U.S. So what's your take on when you go to eastern part of the world, Eastern Europe or Balkans or whatever? What's your take? What do you see the differences are, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know. Like, I find that I am more of a shiny thing in Southern Eastern European countries. As I've come to learn, not in Ukraine, at least not where we are.
Not in Ukraine. No, in Ukraine you just got to do a lot of sets, because 50% of them speak zero
Well,
English.
that's one other aspect of it. But yeah, no, there's just so many black people here. It's not even.
There are
Like,
not that
so
many
massive.
black people.
They're enough.
I see a few every day, but
That's a lot.
and in Serbia when you were there, I don't know what had happened. Like, was there like some war in some African country or whatever? But
No,
it was
no.
like, it was empty. There were no black people, and then one day it was full with black
True,
people.
true.
So it's either war in Africa, in some country in Africa, or it's some sporting event.
Yeah, but the I don't know. Like, I do pay attention to. I'm hyper aware of people around me, so I know that in in Serbia, and all the 3 times that I've been there, I did get more stares, or at least more people were inquisitive. I do not feel that here. But
Well, yeah,
that
but
doesn't matter anyway.
Serbia is an exception. In Serbia, you're a shiny thing because it's known that in Serbia, you as a black guy are a shiny thing, and it's a big advantage for you.
Hmm.
But let's skip that because not everyone listening to this is
Oh no,
black.
no, no! This is just a matter. This was
Yeah.
just a
So
by
so
the way.
because our opinions are very different. I'm used our outlook on traveling is very different because I come from the eastern part of the world. So me being used to dating in eastern part of the world, going to the western, I notice differences in the western, whereas you are used to the western world and you come to the eastern world and you're like, oh my god, this is different. That's why I'm asking this. You as a westerner, so what do you notice coming to the Ukraine or Serbia or well Poland, Latvia, whatever?
Yeah. So in contrast to USA, I think the girls are just way more You can actually have a certain degree of directness, or I feel like the bullshit meter is high. You don't bullshit. I wouldn't say as much bullshit, random shit. Like usually the kind of conversation I have is the banter wouldn't necessarily always work here. Um,
Here,
well, for me, yeah, it's always I do a lot of bantering, and in certain cases, it's best to just not banter at all and kind of use the minimal amount of communication to get the point across, because that goes way farther than trying to just build up all this emotion and this kind of what they call it, showiness, you could call
yes.
it. So I always not cut down on that. But otherwise, I also find that it's just easier for me to talk to girls in Europe in general. Like, it's especially as you go further east, it's just easier for me to have certain levels of low energy conversation with them. Whereas I always feel I have to always have this in the US. I always have to kind of have a little bit of a cool factor. Every so often, I have to always spike and spike and spike, and it gets exhausting.
Okay. Well, one thing I want to mention here is if you're listening to Mr. T and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go to Eastern Europe because it's easier to get laid,
Nope.
don't do that because he has good game and I have good game. And when we come here, I feel like a fish in the water and I feel really comfortable here. If you come here with a shitty stop, weak opening, asking questions, weak stacking, bad storytelling. You don't know how to build attraction, build comfort. You're just gonna be destroyed in the eastern part of the world. So there are reasons why people go to the classical day game spots. Like let's think. Like I coached a student for the last 3 days, and he asked me where should I go next. Because he came here for coaching to Ukraine and learning in a place where people don't speak a lot of English. It's challenging and at the same time incredible, and he still got good results. But then I told him like, you don't want to come back here. You want to go to places like Prague. You want
Wait.
to go to places like Poland because it's the classical place. You go there, you'll see day gamers day gaming every day. Yeah. But there are reasons why they go there. If you haven't been there, if you haven't traveled a lot for day game, and you're thinking, I'll go to Ukraine, I'll go to Serbia, you're gonna get your ass handed to you, and you're just not gonna you're gonna become vegan.
That's an inside joke.
That's an inch. Greetings, Villa.
No, yeah, the it's not that much easier. You're not gonna. There's this. You still have to know what you're doing. I don't think there's any place that really, if you don't have your basics down, you're still gonna get destroyed.
Prague.
You think without
You
basics? I don't
traveler
think so.
solo travel. No, you need basics. You need
You
broad.
you need the basics.
Basically you need basics wherever you go. That's the big discussion about like saying like oh like there are so many day gamers in one city, and most of those day gamers are really bad. Like 90, like at least 9 out of 10 day gamers you see on the street are terrible. Like really terrible. Like have like no lays or very bad open play ratio. So you don't actually have to worry about going to a country and worrying that there are gonna be too many day gamers. If your game is good, or at least you have your basics good, if you watch the video series in my YouTube, the structured natural series, and then the part about attraction, if you follow that stuff, your game is already better than most day gamers. Actually, if you can execute that in the right way. Uh, so yes, you need game, but that basics of game get you further in a place like Prague or in places like Poland, in maybe like Baltics.
We should cover, and the basics are just knowing how to at least show your intent, like stop properly if you need to stop someone. At least show some intent and then lead. I think that's the very basic, especially for places, touristy places like Prague. I think that's the minimum you'd probably need because most times tourists are not doing anything, and if you suggest an adventure, someone will literally come with you. You just have to move things forward. So those are the basics. You don't necessarily always have to work too hard. Sometimes people are just happy to hang out with you because they're not doing anything.
Yeah, but the problem is that most guys, they don't know those basics. They think they know. They've watched some videos, but they're making terrible mistakes in those basics. That's one of the biggest problems of day game. That's why I'm giving everything I know away for free. I have no problem with that because I know that people will watch those videos and they will try. But I know that
The theory is one thing.
the theory is one thing, but then you have to learn to apply it to real life scenarios, and it's just gonna be much harder. So yes, once you learn the basics, start with standard countries like Prague or like Prague in Czech Republic or Warsaw or Krakow in Poland, and you don't want to go to Ukraine or you don't want to go to Barcelona is where I'm thinking about going in October. So if you're Spanish speaking and adventurous, let's do some stuff there.
It does help to know Spanish in Barcelona.
Yes,
But it's not all. You know.
I will give I will prefer guys who speak Spanish when going to Spain. That's for sure. But yeah, so you're coming to eastern part of the world. What else? What else do you notice here?
Well, Ukraine particularly right now.
No, eastern part of the world. We're not talking
Eastern.
Ukraine. You haven't day gamed in Ukraine
Exactly.
that much yet. You've
Yeah,
done like
no,
10
it's gonna
sets.
be
So
like Ukraine particularly. I don't know.
no, eastern part of the world.
You'd have to be specific. Like,
What do you mean? Like you're a Westerner coming to eastern part of the world. You've been to many places.
I think
So
I've
how
come
do you
here-
see it's different than US or than UK or
so one, strong stops. Obviously, you always need those, right? That's one thing that you cannot get away with. Having clear intent in your interaction, especially if the language is limited or there's a little bit of a barrier, being able to show intent or deliver the fact of why you stopped or you're talking to the girl is important within the shortest amount of time possible. I feel. Otherwise, it's. I think eventually they just say like, "Hey, they need to go" because they don't know why you're there. And they just don't have time. They're very direct. They're not gonna be standing there being polite most of the time. They'll just be like, "Hey, I need to go." So you need to get that message across, and it's kind of like you're filtering in a certain way. Um, Other than that, then so that's part of. Then there's that whole thing of effective communication, and then at least flirting to some degree is needed. And then I think going straight to the point, like at least text-wise, the back and forth banter via text, if I can remember, it doesn't really work. Like just
I
do
don't
the
do that.
it's
Fuck
there's
it.
text. If there's a place where you need to keep your texting to a minimum and date request as soon as possible, I think that the eastern side is where you do it. You're just like, hey, do your feeler, do your ping, set the date request, go for the date.
Yeah, this is because in Prague and in Poland, I did send a few pings. I did ping back and forth a little bit, but here, in Serbia as well, I pinged. But here in Ukraine, it's just feeler one ping date request, feeler one ping date request, and that's all I'm doing. I actually feel that once they give you the number, they're coming out, and they either are coming out or not, and texting is not going to help. And from all the leads I have right now, I feel one is where maybe a bit more texting could get her out, but honestly, I'll just do more sets and worry about that instead of getting that chick out. So texting is definitely a little bit shorter in Eastern Europe. Okay, so how is Western Europe different in your eyes? Or not Europe, Western Europe, like Western Europe and USA and Western world, the
Does
modern
Spain
world.
count as Western?
Of course.
I think that varies. Well, for one thing, you can almost certain. Like, we always say don't say 100% get laid because you never get 100%.
What?
Bingo! If you're
Bingo,
watching,
motherfucker, 100%. It's already
there's
in.
nothing 100% guaranteed. But I think that's one of the on the Western side. You can probably go on a date and the girl has made the decision whether or not like things will go very
Or
far.
she will make a decision on a date, and it's gonna be a logical decision.
Okay.
It's not like you're gonna game her into sleeping with you. It's not like you're gonna magically. Well, you do need a
I feel
lot.
like it's on the table, but it's yours to lose in certain cases where it's like you can fuck up the date.
Yeah,
right?
in a way, yeah. When they come out, they're way more. They're coming out with like,
They're more
okay, unless he
open
fucks
to-
this up,
Yeah,
then
they're more.
yeah.
They'll be more open to possibilities, but you could fuck it up. But otherwise, if you don't,
And they might come out, and it's not necessarily that they want to sleep with you on a first date. They might have decided I'm going to go out with him today, spend a bit of time, and then bang him on a second date. I feel that was the case with Nadia, where she kind of made the decision that okay, first date is first date, but I'm going to bang this guy on a second date.
We're gonna see a
our
choo-choo.
ride is here. Our ride
Ride's
is here. Yeah,
we have to go.
we have to go. We have to ride the train to Narnia.
Will it show up?
Look at this thing.
Look
It
at
does
that.
show up. It's probably pretty loud as well.
We're in a
Yeah,
kids park, by the way.
whereas in Eastern Europe, when a girl is coming out for a drink with you, in most cases she is coming out for a drink with you.
just that.
Yes. Some of them have a lot of dates. Some of them don't have a lot of dates. Some of them are seeing someone. Most of them are not seeing anyone. And actually, surprisingly enough, I don't think they're going on that many dates. Maybe they are, because I feel like Western girls are going on dates all the time, left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here, I think unless they find a guy they actually want to go on a date with, they don't. I have a feeling they would rather not go on a date at all than go on a guy they don't really. That's
Like-
not high value enough. Like they
Yeah.
just would prefer to
Where do you get that determination from?
meeting girls that I feel like when I talk to them, I get an impression they haven't been on a date for a while, and they've been single for a while, and while at the same time being incredibly beautiful and really cool girls. Like the girl I was on a date with 2 days ago, she was. I don't like that you were so dark in the fucking video. She was a stunner. She was one of the hottest girls I've been on a date with, but I had a feeling that she hasn't been on that many dates lately, and we really hit it off, and it was really, really beautiful. Whereas I think Western girls they usually have fuck buddies, and they're banging
Oh, yeah,
someone.
yeah.
They're banging someone. Even here, no, don't get me wrong. Like if she's young, she's probably seeing someone, or someone's chasing her. Like they're beautiful, they're getting attention. But let's talk about how much of a role being a foreigner plays in Eastern Europe.
I'm not sure.
Well, you're a black shiny thing,
In some
black
places.
diamond in some places.
Mhm.
Well, I think in my opinion, the question is if you're very calibrated, then that's fine. The thing with being a foreigner, I just think that in some countries the guys are so fucked up on low value and just like if they're 30 plus, then they're like have beer bellies and they're completely out of shape and not that interesting and don't live that interesting lives and aren't that good in bed and then you show up with Western standards where the competition for women is in a way higher because a lot of guys are actually making money, they're going to the gym, so the bar is so much higher, and you, even being not the hottest guy in the Western world, you show up in this eastern part of the world, and in general you are in a way perceived as higher value, but not because you're a Westerner, just because maybe you are in a little bit better shape. I wouldn't play the money card at all. That's very risky. You want to still go to cheap places. Yeah, never play the money card. But being higher value here does not mean anything if you don't have very, very good communication skills with girls. If you're not an interesting guy on dates and you don't know how to behave on dates and make her feel both that you are a cool guy and that she has to actually make you like her. So that's what I feel, that you do get some bonus points for living a better life, but you still need a lot of game. And a guy who's local with good game will get just as far as a foreigner with good game. Actually, a guy who's local might even get further with good game. Yeah, just because uh, he's not going away in a week, and she's not thinking, oh, he's just leaving in a week. And because these parts of the world are a little bit more traditional, you have to take that into account. But one thing that I actually was telling a student in Serbia, or no, I was thinking about that for myself in Serbia, and then I was telling that to a student here in Ukraine is, let's say you have a traditional country. You take Belgrade as an example, and Belgrade is one of the most traditional places I've been to. At the same time, it's fairly crazy. So should you go there, should you not? Well, the idea is, for me, super simple. I know, let's take, we take 100% of girls. Well, 100% of girls that I will open. Let's say some percentage of them is in a relationship, monogamous, married, not interested at all in anything else. Percentage of them does not speak English. A percentage of them does not like me because I'm a foreigner there for a short time. I'm not going to be her husband.
Mm-hmm.
A percentage of them is super traditional and will sleep with you after 7 fucking dates. A percentage of them doesn't like that you're black, white, tall, short, whatever. A percentage of them is so hot and has such a good social life that she will just not have time to go out with you. But a percentage of them will like you, is a bit adventurous, and will bang you. And that's the percentage you're looking for. And it doesn't mean you're looking for yes girls. It just means the group of girls that you're shooting at is a little bit smaller. Most of them will not be interested for various reasons, regardless of how good your game is. I'm not, obviously, I'm not saying married girls don't bad. Like, they do cheat, and not all of them, of course, but
It's a value proposition for them. It's
yes.
like you have to understand that everybody has different things they're looking for, and it's a value proposition.
Yeah, so in Serbia it's very much like that, and here I was telling the students the same. Like in this city where we are, 50% of girls speak, like, they understand almost zero English, like almost none, literally 50. And then from 100%, maybe like 30%, maybe like a third, they understand some English. They can do a basic set in English, like answer short, kind of simple thing. And maybe 1 out of 10 sets has really good English, and you can run good sets, and and those are obviously the best sets. The sets that you're used to do in New York City, in London, in most places in the EU, yeah, where girls speak English. That sets like that here are going to be 1 out of 10. The rest, like, we're gonna have, we'll have pretty shitty English.
Yeah.
So you're doing sets and you're looking for that 1/3 of girls that speak some English. You're not looking for that 1 out of 10 who speaks great English. You don't need that. If you need that, then stay to Western Europe. Fuck off. Don't come to this part of the world. No one's waiting for you here. Like, there are plenty of Eastern European girls in Western world, like in London, in New York City. It's full with them, and they all speak English. Game them there. If you want to come to this part of the world, you have to understand you're coming to a sort of like an uncharted territory. Like, not really, but in a way, yeah. So it's a different world. It's just like going to South America and expecting to get laid there.
Oh, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, like good luck. Like, 50% of chicks in Playa del Carmen, which is super Americanized, 50% did not speak English.
And they were very lovely, attractive Argentinians.
Oh my god, the Argentinians were some of the hottest girls I've seen in my fucking life.
There was a time I was with Mario from the group, and it was doing a 2-set, and I could see the girl's friend was clearly interested. He could see the same thing. We could not do anything about it. We're just... I was leaving that day. I think I was either leaving that day or like later that evening or the next morning or something, but I could just see that she was always looking my direction, and I couldn't... It was so
Nothing you
sad.
could have done.
It was so sad.
I was thinking that what if we did a 2-set and like they didn't speak any English, and I could do all the 2-set, and then I could take them on a night date. You could go home and wait, and then I would bring them both home, and we would have like a foursome, a little party. Hey, by the way, tell the story about our double flag if you want. Double Serbian flag. You want to
We'll
tell the
save
story?
that. for another
Save that
day.
for a
Yeah,
for a masked video.
different day.
For a masked video. Okay.
Different day. You get it another time.
Another time. Another time. Okay. The inner circle will get it. So where are we? We're at texting. We're at your value as a foreigner. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So yeah, you're coming to an uncharted territory, and you have to understand it's gonna be a bit rough here. Yeah, people in bars are not necessarily always gonna speak English. Uh, you have to, in some cases, understand which parts of town you shouldn't go to. I haven't had any bad experiences, but I speak the language, so. But if you should stay in a city center. Just don't be stupid if you're coming to to Eastern Europe. Avoid the typical scams, obviously, because you are a mark. If you're a Westerner in Eastern Europe, you are a mark, especially if you're American. If you think a 30 bucks or 30 euro for a cab ride from the airport is standard, or 50 bucks or whatever, 100 in New York City, 150 in New York City, if you think that's standard, then here in the city where I am, I paid two and a half euro to get from where I arrived to my apartment, and it was quite a ride. So
yeah. I think I paid $6 to get from the airport. Um, but I was using like the what is it, car ride app. But
yeah, like
it was about
yeah,
six
yeah, but in most of
dollars.
these places, like some of these places, Uber works, in other Bolt works. So there's always some apps you have to explore that before you come here.
One thing to definitely avoid is, well, I always just avoid the guys at the airport who are like, "Hey, I'll take you on a ride." I'm like, dude, I don't know who you are. I don't know who you
Exactly.
work for. I can't take the ride with you because, yeah,
That's not how it works.
especially when I don't know what the area is. Yeah.
So a bit about some stuff we had going on in a chat. We've been chatting in a group chat about when you set up a date and the chick sets. I posted a screenshot from a conversation with a girl, and let me read it actually. So I set the time when we're meeting. I said, hey, let's meet on this day. She was fine with that, and we agreed on the time. And then she sends me a link to an Instagram page and says, hey, sounds good, let's meet here. And she suggests a venue. So never ever agree to a venue that a chick suggests in eastern part of the world, especially Eastern Europe, because you
Scam.
it could be a scam. There are a lot of scam bars, well, not a lot, but every city has some scam bars, every capital has some scam bars, some scam girls, and you never know when you're gonna fall for it. If a chick shows up to a date with another girl and there's two of them and they suggest going to a specific venue and they say, oh, but we already booked the table, leave, it's a scam. Yeah. So or they might think, oh, this foreigner, yeah, I'm gonna go to a nice place where I can go on my own, like I'm gonna get nice cocktails, and especially if you're in places that are known for sugar culture, like Kiev, for example. um, so they will want to go to the expensive cocktail bars. They will want to go for dinners. They will sometimes say, "Yeah, like I don't want to go for a drink. Let's go for a dinner." You should never agree to that. And what I responded to this girl when she sent me a link and said, "Sounds good. Let's meet here." I said, "Let's make a deal. I'm the king. You're the queen. I lead. You follow. I pick the bars. Sounds fair?" And I set the premise like this is what's happening, and this is the boundary. I'm picking the venues, and sometimes girls in Eastern Europe will try to control something, but when you take away the frame, when you set the boundaries, they will actually like it very much. And if they don't, if they say no, I want to go to that place. No, I don't. I want you to take me to dinner. What is this? I don't go on like for drinks on dates. I'm used to something different. Forget about the girl. Just as you know what you want, probably get laid or something, get something casual, or in most cases for most viewers, she also knows what she is looking for. She's looking for a provider, and just as you're not gonna become her provider unless you fall for the traps, which you will fall for a few times. You will go to the bars and pay for expensive drinks a few times. Everyone has done it. Uh, and in the same way, she's not gonna give up her frame. She knows what she wants. She has done it plenty times before, and just forget the girl, move on to the next one. Whereas we had in the chat a discussion about what happens in the Western world where when a chick that's maybe because in the Western world you have there's the good type of feminism and there's the bad type of feminism and in the Western world you have a lot of bad type of feminism where chicks not only want to be equal but they want to be better than you and you open the door to them and they're like what the fuck you think I'm weak blah 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 is this sort of stuff. So if in a more feministized country,
Masculinized.
masculinized country, a chick would say, yeah, let's go to this place and would choose a place and would not agree to the place that you chose. We had this discussion in the chat, but what do you think about it?
I think so. I actually broke that rule, but this I'll give you the context of how this played out. So I went on a date where I suggested a date where I think we were supposed to. I'd suggested drinks, but the girl said, "Oh, I don't drink," and I was like, "All right, fine." Oh no, I had yeah. She said she didn't drink, but I'd mentioned I sent a ping earlier that I got an ice cream, and she's like, "I feel more like getting ice cream, given the heat, than getting drinks." And I relented. And I was like, "All right, I know just the place, right?" So I took her to my favorite ice cream place.
I don't see how that is breaking the
Hold on,
rule.
hold on, hold on.
Did she demand the most expensive
She
ice
did
cream
not.
in New York
No,
City
no,
for
she did
100
not. She
bucks?
did not. I picked the place, but no, hold on, hold on. And then at that point, um, she was like, "Hey, would you like to I have a tree house in the city? Would you like to go check that one out instead?" So at this point, I was like, I could either pick the venue one or go check out this tree house thing. And I was like, I'll go check out the tree house.
Nothing wrong with checking out the
So,
treehouse.
so
Once you have a few notches under your belt, I'm fine with. Like yesterday, I was on a date, and
I did want to just see the tree house though. So I was like,
no, no, but I think it's fine. She wants to show you something interesting, and you
So-
know she's not doing that to
Taking you
get
for a
anything
ride?
out of you. Yeah, she just wants to show you the treehouse, and you show up, and it's like, oh, it's like you gotta pay to enter. It's like, okay, well, fuck
no,
off,
no,
bye. Like,
no.
no. Yesterday I was on a date with a chick, and she can't drink. She was on antibiotics, so we went for some soft drinks and like some tea or whatever. Well, I had a beer. I'm a grown man. Fuck you. I do what I want. Hashtag I'm a strong, independent woman. So we're having a drink and we're chatting about shishas and she likes shishas and I like shishas and we're in Ukraine, so it's very common. So I just told her, hey, like you probably know all the good places, and she's like, well, I know a few, but I have to think about a good one. I just thought, oh yeah, like pick a place and let's go to a shisha place. You know them, and she's like thinking hard. I'm just like, don't worry, I don't need anything fancy. I'm not a fancy guy. Like I like simple things. And she's like, oh yeah, then I know just the place. She took me to a very nice shisha place. We went downstairs in the basement. 10 guys beat me up, took my money, took my phone, took my camera. No, I'm joking. It was amazing. It was a perfect second venue, like lounge, like booths, and you can sit there with your shisha. And I paid like for shisha and a pot of tea, I paid €12.
Wait, you picked the place, right? Or
She picked the
Oh
place.
yeah,
I
no,
didn't know shisha places.
you told her to pick the place.
I told her,
Right,
like,
right,
come
right.
up with, like, let's go for a
You
shisha,
know the
pick a
places.
place, you know shisha places. And that was fine, but that's different than her demanding, yeah, but, like, let's say I say, oh, let's go for drinks. And she's like, no, I want to go to this shisha place and get the dinner there. That's what I'm used to. That's how guys usually treat me. And it's like, okay, like, bitch her. So, Western world.
What about it?
Well, how do you deal with this in the Western world, in your opinion?
I haven't had a girl. I think I only had a girl once try to suggest a place for the first date, and I don't even remember anything. Most of the times I pick the spot. In fact, I think they usually because, at least in my experience, because it's me who's always doing the pinging, like to kind of like set up things. Um, Unless the girl is super into me, most of the time I have to pick the spot and set the time, right? At least that's the experience I've had. The few times that a girl did suggest a place to just cause like was so on and she really just wanted to see me and so I just showed up.
Yeah, so when chicks suggest a place, obviously you can't always, because whenever I say stuff like this, oh, she's like maybe trying to play you. Guys always view anything girl says like super like, oh, she's like this and like that. She's just trying to get something out of me. What the fuck do you have that she's trying to get out of you? Probably like most of the viewers are living good lives, but you're not fucking living in Monaco and I don't know, riding a Bugatti, yeah, driving a Bugatti. So chill out. They don't want anything from you. 95% of cases, you're overreacting. They're not trying to play you. They're actually being nice. That's how they're used to people. That's the world they're used to. They're not being bitchy or anything like that. They're super nice. Assume they have good intentions and assume they're amazing. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
so when they pick a place, I would just say, I already know. I know a great place we'll go to. Let's meet here, and I would just say, let's meet here, and then she has a choice. She can give up the frame. She can say, oh, okay, yeah, let's meet there, or she can say, no, I want to go to this place, and then I would pull out the card and I would say, let's make a deal. I'm the king, you're the queen. I lead, you follow. I pick the bars. Does that sound fair? Um, in the Western world, where a lot of women are masculinized, I don't enjoy going on dates with masculine women. If I wanted to bang a guy, I would go to Thailand. I don't want to do that. Yeah.
By masculine, let's clarify that you don't mean they look like men.
No, they
It's just
behave like men. So, and if I was interested in that, like, that's a whole different topic. I'm not interested in that.
there.
So,
There's a caveat I wanted to add to the thing of where there's a situation where a girl might pick the place, and I think this falls more for where they have framed the frame, or the dynamic has been set up in such a way that they think that you can now become holding a sugar daddy role. Now that's unlikely to happen if you look like you're almost peers or within that same age range. But I think for if you have older day gamers, that's something that could easily fall into by accident if they aren't aware. Don't you think?
yeah,
In the
I
Western
think
side,
it
well,
is. I think it is something worth thinking about, and to avoid thinking like things like that. Well, don't wear flashy watches. Don't wear brands, and don't give that vibe.
and
Yeah,
don't offer things
don't
as part
offer
of the. Yeah, don't be
things.
like, hey, I'll
Yeah,
take you out, like without any kind of offering things without necessarily doing any qualification, right? Being too willing
don't
to
send
please.
flashy luxury things from your new BMW.
It's funny. There's a time when Robert was in New York, we ran into these two girls who were just doing nothing and wanted to hang out with them. But one of the things they mentioned was how they were in a sex store, and this one guy all of a sudden decided to buy them $200 worth of sex toys, and then gave them a ride in his car to drop them off. And when I eventually went on a date with one of those girls, she was like, "Yeah, um, we definitely like just got the toys, and we're hoping that while we're in his car, he was not gonna do anything, and after like he dropped us off, we never talked to him again." So that did happen, and I was on a date with this girl, and she's telling me exactly the same thing that she's just done. So
Yeah, and a lot of girls actually have experiences like that with guys providing for them, and it's not their fault. It's guys' fault. Guys are treating them like that. They're used to that, and sometimes it does play against you. It is it is true in certain parts of the world. So wait, what was I saying? So yeah, masculinized women in the western part of the world, if they keep battling the frame. So why do I send this message about king, queen, lead, follow, epic the venues, even if I know that in western parts of the world any masculinized women almost will say da 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 da. Like they will get offense, they will get reactive to that, and they will very likely not come out with me. Yeah, and I do that intentionally. I don't want to go out with a dude, so I would rather send a message like that. I would rather filter them out, and then at that point they have to make a decision. Am I going to go on a date and behave like a girl? Am I going to be feminine, or do I want to keep my frame and like fuck man? Yeah. So I just filter out girls that I don't go out with. It doesn't mean that they're bad. They're bad or anything. They're just not my type. Yeah, that's
it's a
completely fine.
compatibility thing.
There are very many men who will enjoy going out with women like that, and that's completely fine. Just not my taste, and I prefer to lose them by sending such a message. Just as, for example, if I'm going on a date and a chick is late, I have a very nice ping in my phone with, I think it's Ashton Kutcher,
Ashton Kutcher.
Ashton Kutcher. I think it's him. He's like in a black suit, slightly spanking very playfully a girl's ass who's in a black dress. It's super playful, it's super nice, it's not sexual. And when the girl says, "Oh, I'm going to be 20 minutes late," or whatever, or I'm like 7 minutes late, or whatever, I'll send a GIF in response to that. For a simple reason, I've had cases where after sending that GIF, girl just says, "Oh, what the fuck is that? I'm not coming." Perfect. I just saved myself a few hours. So I just sometimes choose to filter out filter out girls like that. But it doesn't mean you have to become bitchy. Yeah, to everyone
To be
who
an
has
asshole.
read, who has read Rational Male by Rollo Tomassi. Yeah. And thinks it's a great book. I've told this to everyone. Yeah, most of the stuff in that book is taken from other books from other authors without giving too much credit. So I don't, and the part that Rollo has 100, like that he really added from himself, is the ending in that book. The last chapters, and the last chapters are basically why men are hating women. Why we have this toxic manosphere where they're just in the daygame community, we have so many guys saying, "Oh, this girl's a bitch. This girl is that." That's just a not nice thing to say. You don't talk like that. Like that's not a normal attitude to have against women. And if you think she's misbehaving or whatever you want to call her names, it just proves that you don't yet understand how women work. and
I was
and
about to say.
we had that in a group chat literally like a few days ago where a guy said like, oh yeah, I wouldn't go out with a girl like that. She's like, oh no, he said she's behaving like, I don't want to go to an entitled little girl. Well, every girl is entitled, and if you don't get that, you haven't yet learned game. That's how the world works. Women get a lot of stuff because men are giving that stuff to them, and that's because they are in a way entitled. You can call them entitled, but it's not their fault. It's guys' fault. And if you understand game part of learning day game, part of learning seduction, and all of this beautiful dance with women is understanding what makes them click, understanding what actually works, what the rules of the game are.
The
Just
dynamics.
like we discussed this morning, that there's a very big difference when a guy cheats on a guy. When a girl, are
Hey,
you
that
cheating
happens
on me?
too.
Are you cheating on me, Mr. T?
I don't roll that way.
I was telling him this morning that maybe when we come out of our Airbnb and we go for a coffee in the morning, maybe we look like a gay couple.
The dynamic's not like that.
Um, of course. Let's ask Xenia.
Sure.
Uh,
No, but we're
so
talking about how men, some men do get. There's, I can understand this bitterness. Actually, I can, because it kind of used to be there, and it's just a matter of, one, you have to accept certain things as, what is it, as truths that you cannot change anything about. It's just the way things are, or they'll be for a long time, right?
yes, and
It's like, why do I have to approach? Why can't they just approach me? I used to like. I was like, why should I do it? Why?
but dude, no, dude.
But
A student of mine was coached by this German coach called Don John, and supposedly when Don John approaches 15 women, he gets laid with 3 to 5 out of them, and he actually regularly gets threesomes from two sets he opens.
good for him.
Yeah, and like when
I
students tell
mean,
me this, I've heard these stories about Don John from several guys, and I just laughed so hard. And I like, and we kept playing this thing with I don't talk publicly a lot of
were
shit
you just
about.
trolling them?
No, my students know that I was laughing about anything that ridiculous that some guy in fucking Germany who. I've coached guys who he has coached, and I
Yeah.
had to unteach. I had to help them unlearn stuff
The
they
stupid-
learned. Yeah, and like I haven't said his name publicly before, but he has fucked several. Like I know several guys whose game he has like just fucked up. No, he's actually teaching a lot of good stuff as well, but it's clear that you don't get 3 to 5 lays from 15 opens, and if someone is
All the time.
all
the time.
yeah,
That's
of
not
course, yeah, we have
possible.
like exceptions, but
Statistics will
if
get
you're
you.
openly lying, then well, like, this is just ridiculous. So wait, what was this about?
Oh yeah, the bitterness and just the whole thing that there's some truths that you have to understand that you will have to almost always approach. You have to lead. It's just the dynamic that's set up, and the more you understand what is in your control and what's out of your control, and just how your behavior influences the outcome, and why you want to steer how you interact with them into a certain direction to actually ensure that you have better success, or the kind of success you like. Every person has different things they're looking for. But once you understand that more, then the frustration kind of goes away. You'll see where you made the mistake. You see, you know, or have an idea of why the women made the decisions they did, or they behaved the way they did. And that will take that little, the more unknowns that they are, the less frustration there is, and the more you can at least work towards addressing the things that you can address, and the things that you can't, you just have to just go approach more. At least you have that power to go and approach other people.
But you do become a little bit of a cynic. At least I
You
did.
can't. No,
I did.
there's
I'm
no.
a bit of a
Listen,
cynic.
there's no way. Like, it's like going to war. Even if you survive, you're gonna have scars and all. It's just the thing. I'm not the person I was 10 years ago, even 3 years ago. Um, the process of it's kind of like those people learn like martial arts and how like slowly their bones like get stronger and like just because of all the hits that they're getting, but they become better martial artists. They can't
And then they
undo.
spar for the first time.
They
And they
can't.
realize they don't know how to fight.
You can't undo the. Take it as a badge of honor for the learning process. It's what it
Yeah.
is.
So and we were talking this morning about this cheating thing. Like, how does it feel when a chick cheats on you, and you kind of understand how the world works, and like before and after you learn how the world works, how the dating world works, and if it happens when you know, oh, like people cheat. I've been with a bunch of chicks who cheated on their boyfriends, on their husbands. Like,
Yeah.
that's not a that's it's within my ethical boundaries, and I'm fine with doing that, and I understand it. And in the future, if a chick cheats on me, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this happens a
Yeah.
lot. That's kind of fine. And actually, I've thought about what would I do if I'm in a future in a monogamous relationship and a chick cheats on me.
And you find out because
I
they'll
would,
always
yeah,
cheat. You'll
like they
never
would.
know.
You first of all, you would never find out if you're in a relationship. Like, you will never find out when a chick cheats on you. Yeah,
It's only if
it's
you
really
do.
hard to find out. I know how good girls are at their bullshit. Yeah, so one chick who finished work at 1 a.m. was at my place at 2 a.m. and we spent our time until 5. She went home and she said she had to work until 5 a.m. because she works in a hotel, and it's actually like she does sometimes have to work until 5 a.m. and you will not find it out. So. But what I'm saying is, when in the future, let's suppose I end up in a monogamous relationship, and it does happen, I'll just probably like, okay, this is part of how this works. There's not much I can do about it. That's fine. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not even saying that I would necessarily break up with her because of that. Just because I've learned that's how the world works, and if you want to cry about that, then well, like, you're not gonna be too happy in this life because shit happens. Whereas if a guy who doesn't understand that this is part of the world, and our ride is back, our amazing choo-choo train is fucking back. Yay! Let's go to
Disney World.
Disney World. No, let's go to Russian version, Ukrainian version of Disney World.
Disney.
Yeah. So if the guy doesn't believe that, oh,
Women
she will
that
never
wouldn't cheat,
cheat,
yeah.
it will never break my heart, and then it happens, then it's
Those
of
men-
course really painful.
Those men end up being devastated. The matter of the fact is, the discussion we had was like, hey, if you're married, like, what would you do? Oh, because the understanding that after you've been exposed to how the world works, cheating is not a thing that comes as a surprise, especially if you're married and everything. It would marriages happen, and I was just telling Robert how, after a little while, I actually understood why people swing, why people become swingers, and it's because there's only so much you can do as a guy on your own before the sex gets boring or everything becomes just very blasé and mundane. And after a while of being in this world, I was just like, okay, I understand it now. Like, at some point, you really have to accept that if you're in some kind of relationship and you cannot give the other person what they need,
Big black dick.
you either split or you figure out a way to make
Or
it work.
BDSM in my case.
Right. So I just I came to have more appreciation for how people try to find ways to make their relationships work, and even if it seems very unorthodox and kind of out there, it makes so much more sense later on.
Yes. So, do you have anything to add to this lovely conversation, which has went on from Eastern to Western to very different topics and frame and relationships and cheating and
No, I just know I need to do way many sets now.
Oh,
A
yes.
lot more.
Yes,
This
definitely.
is I feel like the unlike most times when I'm approaching people that it's kind of like, let's start the seduction bit. At this point, I have to first figure out the language, then kind of communicate a little. There's a pre-communication step, and then get into the nitty gritty of everything. So that extra step kind of taken me back because now my brain is firing all cylinders all over again, which
Yeah.
is a very interesting thing.
Well, guys, As always, if you have any more questions, ask them in the Telegram group chat that's available if you go to my website and sign up for the mailing list. In a welcome email, you will get a link to join the Telegram group chat where we have over 200 guys from literally all over the world. So again, about the coaching, if you want to do something this year, send me an email fast to robert@saintrobert.blog. That is robert@strobert.blog, because I am booked until almost the end of summer, and the spots are going pretty fast. This summer is the first summer where I'm like fully booked all the time, and I don't have a lot of spots left, and I'm soon leaving Europe. And if I will keep raising in popularity, unfortunately or fortunately to me, I will probably just have to start charging more next summer. So if you are thinking about doing this later or whatever, then just do it this summer. There are some guys who want to come to Central and South America with me this winter. That's also an option, but take into consideration that during the winter and spring, while I'm in Central and in South America, I will be working on my content a lot. I'm creating several video courses. I will be shooting YouTube videos more, which I'm not doing right now just because I don't have time for that. So I will be coaching only up to 2 guys a month. I just will not have enough time for that. So robert@strobert.blog. If you're watching this on YouTube, as always, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, whatever. Go sign up for the mailing list. Go to daygamecourses.com to get access to free courses on dating and on texting. Blah, 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 blah. You know the drill. Fuck off. Have a good day. Go out, daygame. Ciao.
Ciao.